This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, that is what they say. It does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, today is Thursday, June the 25th. Yeah, right? June the 25th of 2026. And we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Freeform radio never sounded this great. Or has it? Radio big.
I don't know. Has Freeform radio ever sounded this great? I believe so. I mean, we do broadcast from this point all the time. You know, I have to tell you that sometimes people do not realize the level of sarcasm in some of these things that we do around here. No doubt about that. So let's start talking right away. How have you been? Because that's always important for us to discuss. By the way, my glasses were filthy the moment that I put them on. So that's why I'm sidetracked for half a second here. But let's not get too distracted first thing in the morning as we are talking. I will tell you it is ridiculously early because I always feel like it's ridiculously early when we're inside of this studio hanging out here. So let's talk about this. A lot of stuff has happened over the last 24 hours. A lot of things to discuss, a lot of conferences, some things going on inside of other countries that we'll need to talk about here shortly and briefly in regards of what's going on. But let's make sure that we're clear as we're going through this whole process. Our show consists of safety in the news and safety. By the way, that camera's like way angled off. News and safety. So we will talk a little bit about everything that is going on. That's just kind of what we do around here. So as we go through the whole point of everything, if you want to interact with the show, it's easy to do so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. Once you get there, audio, video, and text messaging are the options of the things that it allows you to do. So that is some things that you can do right there, if you're so inclined to do so, of course. So there's a lot of stuff that we get to do inside of call-in radio. And the great thing about it is that the moment you put anything through, I get a prompt right on my screen. I can't override it, which is the fun part. So it kind of just takes over a portion of it, and then we kind of go from there. So that will be one thing. Then we talk about safety in the news and safety. I do bring in some professional broadcasters for them to talk about what the hell's going on, because I am kind of clueless in Seattle. Not sleepless in Seattle, but clueless in Seattle. But I'm in Orlando, but that could become a little bit confusing as we start talking about it. So, if you take a listen to what we have going on, the professionals will come in and take over. I just come in towards the middle and start talking about what the hell's going on in real time in regards of the stories that we deem the main story. Yeah, it was interesting. Yesterday, we were doing some reviews, and I just want to tell you straight, in regards of looking at safety, in my opinion, because we have a little group get-together occurring on July the 13th, and we were talking about some of the book stuff. And we started doing a review of the book, and we got to a section yesterday where we were talking about this show, the Rated R Safety Show. And it was interesting just kind of taking a look at what has happened with the Rated R Safety Show in regards of episode 1 to where we are now with episode 1377, in regards of how this show has changed. And it was interesting just to kind of hear perspectives of what's going on. It's not a nostalgia act to talk about this for a moment, but it's just one of those things that I find so interesting on how much it's changed from what we originally thought it was going to be to what it is today. So, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's bring in our professional broadcasters. Let them tell you about what the hell's going on inside of the world of, of the news, because that seems to be important for us to talk about. So let's do that right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Stuart Smith. At least 32 people have been killed and 700 injured after 2 powerful earthquakes struck Venezuela on Wednesday, with the death toll expected to rise. The US Geological Survey recorded a magnitude 7.2 quake, followed just 39 seconds later by a magnitude 7.5 tremor, the largest to hit the country in more than a century. Caracas's main international airport has been shut because of heavy damage. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed his condolences, while US President Donald Trump has said Washington stands ready to provide assistance. Neha Punya reports.
The government in Venezuela has now declared a state of emergency. There are worries that a high number of casualties have been reported and there is extensive damage. Tremors were felt all the way in neighboring Colombia. US President Donald Trump has said he is ready and willing to help. He's asked all agencies of the American government to get ready to move quickly.
The White House has asked Congress for nearly $88 billion in emergency spending, with the bulk of the money earmarked for the war in Iran. Democrats have dismissed the request, with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calling it an attempt to paper over the damage of what he called a reckless war. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy said the package appeared designed not to pass. The request comes a day after both chambers of Congress voted to rebuke US President Donald Trump over the conflict. Mitch McCann reports from New York.
For Democrats and some Republicans opposed to the war, putting more money into this becomes tricky because the funding request includes other items that they actually might like, such as $1 billion to finish the design and construction work on the redevelopment of Penn Station here in New York, a mainly Democratic city, of course, $11 billion in economic assistance for farmers, and over $1 billion for the Ebola outbreak in Central Africa. So it's too early to know just yet if this will pass or not, and many of the lawmakers will be growing tired of all the talk around Iran in the lead up to the midterm elections, of course.
19 EU member states are pushing to accelerate plans for offshore deportation hubs in third countries after the European Parliament backed the bloc's new return regulation last week. 8 countries, including France and Germany, opposed the scheme, with French President Emmanuel Macron saying the concept is incompatible with European values. The regulation still requires formal sign-off from leaders of European countries before it can take effect. William Denslow reports from Brussels.
It's a policy that's been tried before. The UK with its Rwanda return hubs idea that ultimately fell into both political and legal hot water. Italy has pushed to use Albania as a return hub location that also fell into legal trouble.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more detail today at the imminent coronation of Andy Burnham, the now former Mayor of Greater Manchester, as Britain's next Prime Minister. After winning election to Parliament last week, he could succeed Sir Keir Starmer in number 10 Downing Street within a month. Mr Starmer resigned earlier this week following devastating local election results for his governing Labour Party. While Mr Burnham has served in governments before, his policy plans remain opaque, but Labour lawmakers are clinging to him like driftwood, hoping he will turn their fortunes around. Robert Shrimsley, executive editor of the Financial Times, says he's concerned that Mr Burnham may be ready to fight old political battles, but not new ones.
I mean, I think he's shown a fair degree of ambition and determination, and those are the two big things you need to get to be Prime Minister. But I think there's an awful lot of big strategic thinking which has to be done. And when you look at the challenges facing the country, particularly around the next industrial, the technological revolution, these are things that are coming at us fast now. And Andy Burnham's talking about reindustrialisation and the partial nationalisation of utilities and rolling back the worst aspects of Thatcherism, perfectly legitimate things to talk about. But there is a sort of nostalgic aspect to this. You know, the Labour Party trying to go back and fight old battles when a lot of the country needs the government to be looking ahead to the next battles.
Sir Keir Starmer has now met with Mr Burnham and agreed to provide support for a smooth transition that should be complete by the latter stages of July. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, dozens of people are dead and several hundred injured after two powerful earthquakes struck Venezuela on Wednesday, the latter the largest earthquake to hit the country in more than a century. The White House has asked Congress for nearly $88 billion in emergency spending, with the bulk of that money earmarked for the war in Iran. And Western Europe continues to suffer from an extreme heatwave, with France seeing its hottest day ever and the UK breaking its temperature record for June. That's the latest feature story news. Stuart Smith reporting.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Okay, self-implosion always sounds like an interesting thing for us to discuss, talk about, and potentially move on with, if you kind of give it that look-see in regards to the things that are happening. So there you go. Oh, by the way, you might need this one real quick.
Tuning into this radio show every day is like coffee for your ears. We're good to the last Q-tip.
So there you go. Okay, so let's continue talking about some things that are going on inside of the world, because we need to do that. Okay, so don't know where to start today, because there's so many things that are going on inside of the world. But here's the problem: there's so much stuff that is going on inside of the world of entertainment that it seems like that's overriding a lot of the stuff that's going on. So let's kind of be clear here. But there's also a lot of information of some other things that are happening inside of the world. So I'm going to start off with this one, which would not normally something that I would start off with, but let's do this anyways. The family of the late singer Whitney Houston is disputing the recent comments made by Oprah Winfrey about the incident in which Houston reportedly fell off the stage during an appearance connected to the Oprah Winfrey Show. Speaking at a recent event, Winfrey claimed that Houston had relapsed at the time that she was persuaded the audience, or she had to persuade the audience members not to release photos because she feared that the incident would damage the singer's career. However, Houston's estate strongly rejected the version of what happened. Pat Houston, who oversees the estate, said that Whitney did fall, but during the dark sound check, while unfamiliar with the stage setup, not because she was under the influence of drugs. The estate acknowledged that Houston well-documented struggle with addiction, but said that it's unfair to assume that every incident in her life is connected to substance abuse. The statement emphasized that Houston was a dedicated professional and urged people to remember her accomplishments and not tell stories of tell the stories rather accurately and then repeat what family calls misconceptions. Last night on E.T., Pat Houston, Whitney's sister, I almost said Whitney, for some reason I was going to say Whitney Spears, Whitney's sister-in-law, longtime manager, responded to Oprah. Take a listen to what had to be said.
What went through your mind when you heard Oprah's comments?
The first interview I did with her, she was clean. But the day she came to my show then to perform, she was not. And she fell off of the stage.
I didn't know I was drunk. When I watched it, I was totally surprised. And, you know, my response, it didn't have anything to do with anger or outrage with Oprah, because I know for a fact on that day that Whitney was not high.
What do you remember about Whitney that day when you saw her and you looked into her eyes?
That was a very meaningful moment for her in the history of knowing Whitney for over 30 some odd years. Of course, she had abused drugs and everything, but for her craft, Whitney never showed up on stage high. You couldn't even get her out of her room, you know, if she were high. And for a statement to be made like that, it was extremely disappointing. And I have all the respect in the world for Oprah. I have to protect her legacy. You know, if it were true, I would admit it being true.
Okay, so there you go. There is clipo numero uno in regards of what's going on. So here's Pat's message for Oprah.
What would you say to Oprah today?
Sister to sister, what happened? Because we both know that did not happen. I certainly would just want to ask the question, why? But it's not something, it wouldn't be anything confrontational, because I know that Whitney really, trusted her, and so did I.
Okay, so there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of that camp as we are talking. I kind of figured that we should start off with something along those lines, because that's exactly what was given the breakdown. I know the breakdown. So in regards of what's happening. So what do you think? What do you think that happened? And why is this even a controversy? I mean, so many years later. Like, is this really a thing? So there you go. Okay, so let's start talking about some other stuff that is going on inside of the world of the multiverse. And let's take a look-see here. More than 4 months after the disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, investigators may be getting closer to a breakthrough, according to the former FBI agent, Maureen O'Connell. Authorities are focusing on the masked man captured on the doorbell camera footage outside of Guthrie's Tucson home shortly before she vanished. Nancy, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, was abducted from her Arizona home in early morning hours on February the 1st. Despite the extensive investigation, no arrests have been made and no suspects have been publicly identified. The most important piece of the evidence remains in the chilling surveillance footage showing a mask-gloved individual appearing to tamper with Nancy's doorbell, which had a camera on it, before disconnecting it around 1:47 a.m. Investigators were able to recover the video from back-end server data, even though the camera was not actively storing footage in the cloud. Speaking on a recent interview, O'Connell said that she believes authorities are getting close to identify the man who is seen on the porch, and estimated investigators are about 75% on the way towards solving the case. She suggested that once the suspect is identified, the rest of the investigation could rapidly fall into place. So I want to make sure that I understand this. You're telling me that they're closer today than what they were before the aspect of it actually occurring. I mean, I don't know if that's kind of a genius say. I'm just saying kind of a weird statement, because one would hope that would be the case, that you're closer than day one to it. Duh. So just something to think about as we are talking. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. A federal judge is demanding an explanation for the tarp and scaffolding that have been covering part of the front of the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts since the workers removed President Trump's name from the building last month. The U.S. District Judge Christopher Cooper ordered Trump's name to be removed after ruling that the Kennedy Center board did not have the authority to rename the National Arts Institution. Workers subsequently took down the letter spelling out the Donald Trump and restoring the building to the original name. However, after lettering was removed, workers erected a scaffolding and covered the area with a large tarp that remained in place for weeks. The judge has now ordered both sides to submit a report by July the 31st, explaining why the tarp are still there and what work, if any, still remains. It's amazing the level of stuff that we'll talk about in regards of the oddities that have to do sometimes with some of the things that this administration is doing. I'm being serious. So now we have a news story about a tarp. Just saying. It's almost as exciting sometimes as news about social media. So let's do this real quick. General Chris Donahue, one of the Army's most respected combat commanders, is stepping down as the head of the U.S. Army operations in Europe and Africa amid major leadership overhaul being led by the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Donahue, a former commander of the elite Delta Force and a veteran of more than 2 decades of combat operations, is perhaps the best known as the last American service member to leave Afghanistan during the 2021 withdrawal. Many inside of the Army viewed him as the future candidate of Army Chief of Staff. According to reports, Donahue's retirement comes as Hegseth moves to downgrade his command from a 4-star position to a 3-star role because generals can only hold positions matching their rank, and the change would effectively leave Donahue with limited options other than retirement. So what do you think here? I mean, it's definitely an interesting one. Let's not lie. Let's exactly talk about what it is. It kind of changes the game. And you know me, I like talking about all this stuff because I find it extremely interesting on how some of these things will change from time to time. So there you go. Okay, so let's talk about this because I was kind of shocked to hear this, and it all really depends on what you're looking for or if you enjoy sports or not. But the NHL may be headed deeper into Texas. The commissioner, Gary Bettman, says the league has reached an agreement with billionaire Dan Franken and his family to spend the next 6 months studying whether either Austin or Houston could support an NHL's 33rd franchise. The prospects would involve a massive $3.5 billion investment covering both the expansion fee and the construction of the new arena. Bettman says that South Texas represents a major growth market and doesn't believe that a new team would create a problem in the territorial rights of the Dallas Stars. In fact, he expects the Stars would become another NHL team in the state because it, or would welcome them, better saying, it would help the growth of the sport's popularity across Texas. Houston has long been considered one of the leading candidates for an NHL expansion team, thanks to its status of the nation's fourth largest metro area. However, Austin has emerged as a serious contender as well. The city has experienced explosive growth, with its population more than doubling since the mid-1990s. The Friedkin family, which would also own the stakes of Everton and AS Roma, believes that both cities have the population, business to support the infrastructure needed to support the success of the NHL franchise. The league says the expansion only happens if it strengthens the NHL overall, with revenues projected to reach a record $8 billion. Texas to be the front of the line. Other potential expansion markets include Atlanta. Arizona remains in the discussion that are currently trailing Texas bid. So there you go. You know, I have to tell you, I find it funny sometimes when I listen to some of these stories from Texas, and let me explain why I say that. I lived in Central Texas, in that general area, kind of back and forth a little bit, for quite some time. And I remember while living there, I was like, man, I really would like to go to California at some point. And I'm talking about, I'm a teenager at this time. And I kept on thinking about how crazy it would be to move to California. And I had people back then, because this was years and years ago, decades ago at this point, tell me that the big newest movement that would be occurring would be happening in Austin area, that Austin would become the new Hollywood. And I kind of chuckled at that. And I kept on going, why would people want to move here instead of California? And I'm not talking about from a perspective of politics or anything along those lines. I'm talking just purely weather. And I kind of chuckle now, and I look back and I laugh that places like Waco are so popular, because I would have never expected that as a kid. And not laughing because of what it is, but it's just amazing on what it's become. Also, the other side to the whole equation is that the popularity of Austin now is mind-boggling to me. But I'm so happy that this has occurred. But I would have never thought, if I would have invested then in property, I mean, boy, would life be different. But I just think it's kind of funny, just looking back at it right now. Don't know why I'm ranting about that, but I kind of figured that it would be something to discuss, because it's always something to talk about. So let's talk about some weird things, because somebody sent this in, and I thought it was interesting. So funerals are supposed to be quiet, respectful, and dignified, but sometimes real life has other plans. Maybe two relatives started screaming a match over the inheritance rights next to the casket. Or maybe someone showed up with the wrong funeral and didn't realize it until halfway through the service. Maybe a cell phone went off at the worst time possible. Maybe an ex-spouse appeared unexpectedly and then turned the entire day upside down. Maybe somebody got drunk. Somebody into a fight. Somebody got arrested, or somebody revealed to the family secret that they had been buried longer than the person everyone was there to honor. And then there's the moments that nobody could have predicted. The casket gets tipped over, the prankster friend who left behind the one final surprise, the pet that crashed the service, a mistaken identity, shocking confession, and the family feud that got exposed in front of hundreds. So today we want the funeral stories that nobody in your family will ever stop talking about. So go to callinradio.com. I would love to take a listen to what the hell was going on at that particular time, because I find them so interesting. So there you go. Okay, so what else is going on out there for us to have a quick little discussion about? Because there's always some interesting stuff. Take a listen to this real quick. 3 Wendy's employees in South Carolina have been arrested after police say that they served a complaining customer food taken from the trash and then spat on it. The incident began when a customer complained about her order and requested a refund. Employees reportedly told her that they would make a new meal instead. After she left, they started eating the replacement food. Someone from the restaurant allegedly called and informed her that the workers had taken her original food from the trash, spit in it, and served it back to her. The customer examined the meal and believed that it was the same food that she was originally returned. Police say that the restaurant manager later confirmed the allegations after speaking with the employees. 3 workers are arrested and charged with tampering. Yeah, tampering with food products. Wendy says that the employees were immediately fired and called their behavior wholly unacceptable, stressing the incident does not reflect the company's values. Wendy's promised fresh food. They got to mention fresh from the trash is the portion they left out. I mean, I'm just saying, because that's what happened there. What else? That's not a value meal. It's a evidence meal. The special sauce was apparently criminal offense. The first time that the meal came with the chain of custody, nothing says customer service like serving Exhibit A. Usually customers want a refund. In that case, they wanted a hazmat item, it's what it seems like, or maybe even a team to show up and clean up the place. The customers were asked to speak to the manager, but not the health department. Somewhere a raccoon was saying, even I have standards. So something to think about when you give it all consideration of what is being said. What an interesting time when you start taking a listen to what exactly is going on.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
I remember a long time ago, a movie called Waiting came out. And since then, I have always been of the opinion, do not complain about food products, especially send them back and then have them come back from the kitchen to you. Not a good idea. Anyways, let's talk about this.
WTF.
Welcome to Florida. A 53-year-old Florida man is facing multiple felony charges after authorities say that he kidnapped a teenage girl, hid her inside of the clothes dryer at his Key Largo home. According to Monroe County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded after a girl called 911 and reported that she was being held hostage. When the officers arrived, they found her concealed inside of a dryer. Investigators say that the man had restrained her cell phone after she tried to leave. They then prevented her from leaving the home. The teen was treated at the hospital and later revealed released to a family member. During the investigation, detectives also found counterfeit money at the residence, prompting notification of the U.S. Secret Service. The suspect now faces charges including kidnapping, false imprisonment, and additional charges possible as investigations continue. This may have been first the kidnapping case and then started to check your laundry room. What the hell, man? What is going on here? Anyways, 32 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's go into our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh yeah, you know what it is. You get the hoax going on. You get the counterfeit going on. You get the weirdness of the weird going on in regards to some of the stuff, and that's what I want to talk about today. Not the weirdness, but the counterfeit. I think it's important to discuss. I think it's important to address, and I definitely think that it's important because it's something that's going on technically inside of our industry, in some industries that we kind of interact with, but we'll get into that in here in just a moment. So I want you to think about this for a second. I want you to think about that event of events that you heard about. That event that was inside of our industry that was going to change everything for you. And I mean change because they had these new concepts, these new things that they wanted to discuss with you that were going to be life-changing. Yeah, life-changing. Not kind of life-changing, life-changing, because they were that exciting in regards to what people were saying was going on. So here's what I would like to discuss with you. Have you been to one of those presentations? Have you been to one of those conferences? Well, I want to give you two examples of some things here because I'm finding it very interesting to see. There is an organization that is out there that puts on an event every year. And they market it as how it's a community of change, how their information is going to change everything for you. And listen, I understand marketing. I think I understand marketing. And I always find these things interesting when people start talking about this stuff. But let's get some razzle dazzle in here. Here's where it gets weird. Because here's what's happening as of late. When you go to these meetings and you hear these people talking about these community of changes, most of the times it's just a shitload of consultants in the sales floor doing the display stuff, and then it's essentially not really there as a community of change. It's more of consultants speaking in front of other consultants on what their product is doing. Yeah. This is what's happening. So I look back and I kind of chuckle because I find it so interesting that this is where we've gotten to. Instead of trying to do something different or change things, this is where we've gotten to in regards of some of this information. It's just weird. Now, I reference this because I've been to some of these conferences like that. Now, the other portion that I have found interesting as of late is, do you remember when Zoom was popular? When you started doing these telemeetings and that was becoming popular? It was a big deal. And then somebody got smart and said, you know what we can do? We can bring in someone from a different place on the planet, and we can put them on the screen arena here and have them do a presentation. And that became popular. During COVID, it was super popular. And then it got weird because people were like, I don't really want to see someone on a screen. So now recently, there's this new thing that has occurred where they have these hologram boxes. Hologram boxes. So essentially, if the speaker cannot make it, instead of you seeing them in a Zoom style screen, teleconference, all of a sudden, you see this person, and here's how they're set up. They are doing the thing inside of this hologram box. Some of it can be pre-recorded. Some of it can be actually live, and they can take real-time questions. And this is where it gets strange, because imagine you going to a conference where you've paid high dollar for, because that's normally how it works with most of these things. And all of a sudden, you're seeing someone on the stage in a hologram box. How are you going to feel about that? Like, I think it would be extremely strange in regards to that occurring. So here's my question. Are we pushing things too far? Are we at the point now, especially in this industry, that we should be looking at our marketing compared to the reality of what's going on? Because isn't it weird that a lot of these conferences by larger organizations that are going on, they are pushing the boundaries with some things in regards on how they're marketing? I mean, there's even one conference that has the balls to ask the people to write in and say, hey, that they want to present, and they give them a free ticket to go into the conference. Not their travel, not their hotel. I mean, they're definitely getting a bargain with some of that shit. But here's the funny part. The marketing has gotten out of control. And I like that people are trying to do these technological advances when it comes to certain things, but it gets to the point that you really need to say what exactly is occurring. I understand that sometimes people get sick. I understand bad weather. I understand these things where they cannot make it. But man, you have to advertise those things properly, because it is a level of disappointment when this occurs. Like, I think it's interesting, changing the subject entirely for just a brief moment, on how there's churches now that are considered remote sites. So You essentially go to a church and they have a giant screen of the pastor preaching from a different location, which essentially you could do at home and watch the same thing, but you wouldn't have the involvement of the community. And unfortunately, we are getting to the portion inside of this industry where we're doing weird shit like that, but without the advertisement, without telling people, hey, this is what we're doing. And then we go, oh, why are people getting upset that we're not living up to the standards of what we portray? It's a weird time. So how do you like going to these events? Do you want the real information? Or are you okay with some of the hogwash?
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Warning. Listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage.
I'm talking the truth.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, here we go. 45 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. This right here you're taking a listen to, song's titled Dystopian Supply Chain. It's actually by the Clans. Yeah. I always like me some strange stuff. No doubt about that. So there you go. Oh, see, I'm going to get stuck here. See how this goes? Anyways, go ahead and give this one a little streamer action. Pandora, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Spotify. See? Okay, so there you go. See, I'm going to get stuck. I want to keep on going. Okay, so anyways, you are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show. Let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the multiverse here. If anything, let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at Try Love on Our Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and we want you to know that people have been where you are now. Things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. And look up in the right-hand side corner and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you see that, you'll see information related to addiction, depression, and anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, and grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com to write Love on Her Arms. So there you go. I'm going to tell you, you go to that website, there's a lot of great information on there to take a look at. No doubt about that. Okay, so let me tell you about this other thing that we got going on. A lot of this other thing that we have going on. So this little event here taking place in Orlando on July the 13th, which is a Monday. We're doing this at the Aloma Cinema Grill. Yep, Aloma Cinema Grill. We'll be hanging out there in Orlando, doing all of our fun stuff. And here's what's going to happen. We're going to have this little thing called Reality Shifts, an observational symposium. It's 100% live and in person. You'll have the likes of Todd Conklin there. Talk about human and organizational performance. Nick Weatherly will be there talking about behavior-based safety. I will be there talking about signal. So, outside of that, we'll also watch a documentary on that day. I mean, we're in a movie theater. Of course, we have to take advantage of that. And don't think premium-style movie theater. I want you to think about movie theater with tables and chairs. Think picture show. Think picture show for a moment. And that's what will happen. We'll go ahead and hang out that day there. It's only a one-day event. The reason we did it on a Monday, that way you can come out and hang out in Orlando if you wanted to do that. So that's it. Love to see you there. SafetyFM.io. find out more information, or you can go ahead and do a little scanner enter there of that QR code if you're on the video streamer. So safetyfm.io, not a .com, a .io for more information. Love to see you there. I mean, we are just days away from that. No doubt there. Okay, so with that being said, why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's bring some John Smalls into our life and let him tell us about what the hell is going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute. Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Jerry. Abraham Lincoln said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." This was true in the 1850s, and it is true today. Abraham Lincoln was the President of the United States during the Civil War. It would have been a difficult time to be in charge. The nation was divided. Many families and groups of friends were divided. Some homes were even divided within. And it was in the years leading up to this that Abraham Lincoln said these words. It was 1858. The nation was already drifting apart, but a few years later, Americans were up in arms against one another. Now, I hope this never happens again, even though Hollywood has made more than one movie about it recently. This would be one of the most horrible things to happen. We may not agree on everything all the time, but I would think we can all agree that this type of thing can never happen again. The Motivation Minute. This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Growing concern is spreading as a powerful armed group advances toward a major Sudanese city crowded with civilians.
Aid organizations and international officials warned Wednesday that hundreds of thousands of residents could face danger. Emergency planning is increasing while diplomats push for measures to prevent wider violence. Gary Beck reporting.
Several progressive candidates scored notable victories in New York contests, signaling continued energy among left-leaning voters.
Results announced Wednesday showed multiple contenders backed by influential progressive groups winning primary races. Political observers expect the outcomes to affect campaign strategies heading toward the general election. Liam White reporting.
Political tensions are rising in Washington as Republican senators prepare for a high-profile meeting with President Trump.
Wednesday's gathering follows complaints that legislative priorities have been repeatedly disrupted by competing demands. The discussions could shape upcoming votes and influence the party's broader agenda. Kyle Norris reporting.
Fresh diplomatic progress is raising hopes for a broader agreement aimed at reducing tensions and stabilizing a volatile region.
Wednesday, international inspectors prepared visits to Iranian nuclear facilities under terms linked to ongoing negotiations. Further talks are planned, and leaders say verification efforts could help support a longer-lasting settlement. Benjamin Wright reporting.
A major housing package cleared another hurdle, marking an uncommon bipartisan achievement during an increasingly divided political season.
Lawmakers approved the measure Tuesday after negotiations focused on affordability and housing supply. Supporters say the plan could encourage construction and expand options for many communities. Kevin Sanders reporting.
A new round of attacks disrupted critical infrastructure in Crimea, leaving large areas without electricity and disrupting daily life.
Russian-installed officials reported power failures after strikes targeted energy facilities on Wednesday. Repair crews were deployed while authorities assessed damage and worked to restore service. Lawrence Keller reporting.
A rare congressional rebuke gained momentum after lawmakers approved a measure seeking limits on American military involvement with Iran.
The Senate passed the resolution on Tuesday following weeks of debate over the conflict. The proposal now moves forward amid continuing arguments about presidential war powers and oversight. Jessica Oakley reporting.
A relentless heat wave is sweeping across Europe, shattering temperature records and straining schools, transport systems, power networks, and hospitals.
Wednesday brought extreme conditions across several countries as authorities expanded alerts and safety measures. Officials warned the heat could continue for days, increasing health risks and pressure on public services. Chris Anderson reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
It's my kind of music.
I get the best mix of my favorite music. All on one radio station.
Another wild ride is around the corner on Radio Big.
They're good. They're very funny.
They're hilarious. They just be whoever they want to be.
It's just really funny.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. Rated R Safety Show, 54 minutes into it, that's for sure. So let's start talking right away about some things that happen back on this date. Back in 1788, Virginia becomes the 10th state to ratify the U.S. Constitution. So there you go. In 1941, FDR issues an executive order of 8,802 forbidding discriminations. In 1951, First Color TV broadcast Arthur Godfrey from New York City to 4 cities. So there you go. That happened in 1951. Let's see. In 1982, porn star John Holmes acquitted on murder charges. In 1990, NBC decides to air episodes of Quantum Leap for 5 straight days. Yep. Let's see. What else? Michael Jackson died on this day back in 2009. And also, so did Farrah Fawcett. So there you go. Some things that happened back on this day. Okay, so let's talk about some other things that are going on. Let's talk about some celebrity birthdays. Let's see. Carly Simon turns 83 today. Tim Finn, 74. Ricky Gervais turns 65. Angela Kingsley turns 55. Linda Calderini turns 51. So there you go. Hold on. Yep. She turns 51 today. So there you go. Some things to take a look at right there. And Busy Phillips turns 47, so there you go. That's what's happening in regards to birthdays for today. Let's talk about some things that you ought to know, because these are always important to do. Here is Trump unexpectedly canceled plans to sign off on a bipartisan housing affordability bill just hours before the scheduled ceremony, throwing the legislation future into question. In a post on True Social, Trump said that he will not sign the housing bill until Congress passes the Save America Act, an election-related measure that has been a major priority for his second term. The move links two unrelated issues and increases the pressure on lawmakers as negotiation continues. The housing bill had been expected to address the affordability concerns facing home buyers and renters, but Trump's decision now leaves the path forward uncertain while Congress debates the election legislation. So there you go. Also, a federal appeals court has just cleared the way for Trump administration to resume fast-tracking deportation of undocumented migrants across the entire United States. In a split decision, 3-judge panel on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit overturned the lower court ruling that had temporarily blocked the administration's expanded use of expedited removal. The policy allows immigration authorities to quickly deport certain migrants without lengthy court process. So there you go. Also, President Trump officially launched the nation's America's 250th celebration last night at a large rally at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The event featured military bands, flyovers by stealth bombers, patriotic music, and a performance by Lee Greenwood. God bless the USA. Trump used the occasion to celebrate the country's 250th birthday. And while highlighting what he described the administration accomplished during his speech, the president said that America is becoming bigger and better and stronger, and claimed the nation has regained respect on the world stage, telling the crowd that nobody's laughing at us anymore. So there you go. Okay, so that's going to sum it up for me at the top of the hour. I will be going over to radiobig.fm. If you want to come out and hang out with me for the next couple hours or so, I will be talking about the world of music and entertainment. If you want to not go over there to radiobig.fm, or you want to hang out right here with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting, knock yourself out. There are some options right there. If I can't leave you with some words of wisdom for today, champions keep playing until they get it right. And if you need some advice for today, use tension rod under the sink to hang spray bottles. Some things to think about. Anyways, that's it. That's going to sum it up. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios. as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.